Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. We have a great show for you today as Tony Irons, the head basketball coach of Vashon High School, will join us to discuss bringing the state championship back to the PHL. Plus, Ray Merriweather, the athletic director at the Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club, will be in studio to discuss some upcoming events out there, as well as his long and distinguished career in St. Louis sports. And our Inside Sports crew had a chance to chat with former NFL Super Bowl champion Ray Lewis. So stick around for this and much more coming up next on Inside Sports. And welcome to the show. Our first guest today is coming in on the heels of the 2016 Class 5A Basketball Championship. And we're proud to have Tony Irons here with us today on Inside Sports. Tony, thanks a lot for joining us.
Appreciate you having me in. Thank you.
Gosh, you must be so pumped right now. It hasn't been that long, just a few short weeks since the state basketball title. You know, what are your emotions and your thoughts of bringing back the title to not only Vashon, but the PHL, the Public High League?
I mean, it really feels great. You get mixed emotions for the most part. As soon as it happened, you know, our kids, we were extremely excited. And then about a week goes by, and then you start thinking about, you know, the next step as far as getting our seniors in school and doing some things like that, and understanding that they're not going to be a part of, you know, the high school basketball program anymore. So you get a little bit sad there, and then now it's starting to settle in and just realizing the type of accomplishment that those kids put forth. So now, you know, with the PHL, it's definitely, you know, big for them and big for our community as a whole, just to be able to share that championship.
You know, with the PHL, it's got to be tough to keep all the best players in-house in the PHL because, you know, you've got your CBCs, you've got your Chaminads, you have your DeSmets, you know, the different Catholic and private schools who have an opportunity to go out and try to, you know, bring some of these kids from the, you know, the Parkways and the public schools and, you know, the Rockwoods in and to try to build these big traditions. So it's pretty special when you get to keep some of the top players in-house. And this year I know you're very proud of a couple of kids on your team, and hopefully they'll be able to move on and keep playing basketball in the future.
Yeah, definitely. All of our kids, you know, and it's definite, you know, a great accomplishment for them. All of them have been with the St. Louis public school system, you know, through middle school and elementary school. So, you know, for them to be able to come to Vashon and be able to, you know, kind of, you know, build on that legacy that's been there is something special for them. So, you know, as far as, you know, moving forward, we got a lot of young kids that are looking forward to coming back and working hard, and hopefully when they become seniors, they get an opportunity to move forward as well.
You know, as a head coach of a prominent program like Vashon's, won many state titles over the years, you have to almost, you know, wear a couple hats, wear several hats. I mean, you're the coach, you know, you're a mentor to some of the kids as well, a cheerleader. I mean, how many different hats do you wear as a head basketball coach? Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that need you and trust
you definitely wear a ton. You know, I tease them all the time and tell them I'm not old enough to be their dad, even though to a lot of them I kind of am. Yeah, but I am. So, yeah, so I kind of look at it now as, you know, I try to be like a big brother to them. You know, we've got a tremendous staff. We've got a couple guys, you know, Dwayne Polk that coaches with me, played at St. Louis University, went to Vashon. And we're not too far removed as far as, you know, being in their situation as far as a player. So what you try to do is guide them and try to show them things that hopefully, you know, they can learn from, or things that you may have experienced coming up that they can kind of, you know, keep them away from certain situations. So we look at it as not just as a basketball coach, like you said, we're almost like a family. So, and as a brother or as a, you know, a father figure, you know, a lot of our kids are, you know, single parent household kids and stuff like that as well. So, you know, just to be a male role model or have, you know, positive guys around them is always a blessing.
Now, your father, Floyd Irons, was obviously a role model for many kids, winning, you know, a ton of state championships at Vashon. When you were growing up, you know, were you like a gym rat with your dad?
Yeah.
Were you around? Is that, can you describe?
Definitely.
Because I remember back in the day when you know, you had your Jimmy McKinneys there and a lot of great players, Joel Shelton. you got to see a lot of this, and tell us about your experiences growing up in the old gym at the old high school.
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I've always been around Vashon basketball. My dad coached that for 33 years, and I'm 32, so for the vast majority of my life, I can just remember being in the gym and being around his players and seeing the impact that he's had on those guys, on their lives and how they've gone on to have success and do a number of different things. So, I've always wanted to, be around basketball. And it came a point in time when my basketball career came to an end, just like anything. And I always wanted to stick around it. And I think being around that gym and seeing my dad do that, it was no secret that I was going to want to, kind of follow in those footsteps. And, a lot of the guys that he coached, you mentioned Jimmy McKinney, Joe Sheldon, those are two of my closest friends, So a lot of those guys are guys that I grew up with, playing with, and I just didn't have the opportunity to, go to Vashon and play with them. But we played a lot of AAU and we played a lot of Little League together. And those guys are, they come around now, and they're guys that some of my kids that I coach now, can reach out to and talk to, and they have just as much stake in this program as I do.
Now, growing up and having a father, I mean, Floyd was always in the news one way or the other. He had a lot of attention on him. Did you want to play for Vashon, or did you want to separate yourself and get your own identity, or was it just maybe a logistical thing why you didn't play for Floyd?
I actually wanted to go to Vashon. I really did. I want Jimmy McKinney, a couple guys. We all grew up playing together, so I wanted more so to play with them than actually play at Vashon. But the fact that my father, was the coach there, it was definitely something that I wanted, to definitely do. I think my mother, for the most part, didn't want me to go to Vashon just from the standpoint she didn't want it to be, a sense of pressure on me, to have to, be in the same building and live up to whatever expectation. You know how it is when you have a kid and your father is, in the school district. It can go one way or the other.
Yeah, you don't want to hear the nepotism.
Yeah, so it can go positive, it can go negative. But then she also thought that it might be good for me just to go into my own situation and kind of, build my own name from there. So, I ended up at Lutheran North. But I mean,
well, Tony, it sounds like you paved your way over at Lutheran North.
Yeah,
you guys had some pretty good success.
Yeah, we did, and it kind of worked out because of some guys that I played with at Lutheran North were guys that I actually knew growing up as well. So. Okay. I was still kind of being able to be around my friends, and we ended up graduating in 2002, and we ended up winning the state championship my senior year. So it ended up working out for the best.
Now, you guys won the state championship in Lutheran North. It was like Class 3A, and didn't Vashon have some success that year as well?
Yeah, we actually we won it the exact same year. We actually won it a week later. So Vashon ended up winning the state championship the week before, and then we turned around and came back and won it the next week. So It was something special.
It must have been a pretty happy household there.
Oh, it was incredibly happy. I just remember my dad, his emotions, from winning it, that year and going back and that following week and coming up and being able to watch me win it was, something that he talks about to this day.
Well, then you had some success in college. Now you went down to Branson, played some hoops down there for 4 years. Can you explain a little bit about your college experience?
Yeah, I went to College of the Ozarks, small non-denominational school, and honestly, it was definitely something that I needed. It was a school where I had to work. Every student at the school works 15 hours a week. And so it builds a foundation as far as preparing you for the real world. So I ended up working there, and I ended up playing basketball there as well on scholarship. And my senior year, we ended up winning a national championship.
Wow, congratulations on that. Then you were an assistant there for a while, and then I think you went over to Imagine Prep. Was that the next stop?
Yeah. I spent 2 years as a graduate assistant at College of the Ozarks, and I ended up getting my master's in education administration. And after those 2 years, I came back to St. Louis, and I ended up coaching at Imagine College Prep, which ended up closing its doors a couple years later. And that's where I first got my first head coaching experience was there.
Then an opportunity opened up for you at Madison Prep.
Yeah, and when Imagine closed, St. Louis Public Schools opened up Madison College Prep for all the kids that attended Imagine College Prep. And during then, you know, a lot of my kids, it was a big transitional stage because we didn't, you know, when the school closed, we didn't know, you know, it was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what was going to happen with our team and with the other kids in the building and stuff like that. So we were blessed that they ended up opening up those doors.
Now, at that point, you had some success. Did you win a championship at Madison?
Yeah, our first year at Madison, we won a state championship, Class 3.
Okay, so then you were there for a few years, then all of a sudden,
the same thing.
Yep, started knocking on the door.
Yeah, the same thing happened. We were there for 3 years at Madison, and deja vu kind of happened with Imagine, and Madison ended up closing, and we ended up at Vashon. And then the first year at Vashon, we ended up winning the state championship.
First year at Vashon, you win a state title, and it's been a while. I mean, you had Anthony Bonner came through there after Floyd. Another individual was there, so you brought the hardware back to Vashon. You've got, you know, the school's fairly new. Now, I remember when it broke ground. You have great facilities there now. And Tony, is this a destination spot for you? Do you want to be there for a while, or do you have other aspirations down the road?
Right now, you know, I'm definitely happy doing what I'm doing. I get to work with a great group of kids, just not only, you know, my basketball team as far as in the building as well. We got a great student body, great kids, and they all definitely, you know, you know, being able to provide certain guidance and be able to help them try to reach their goals is something that I, you know, cherish every day. So, you know, whatever the future holds for me as far as moving forward, you know, I'll definitely, you know, keep my eyes open.
Not that you're looking.
Yeah, not at all.
Especially you're young. Yeah. You could have this gig for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I could, you know, hopefully so. You know, I don't want to hopefully not be in a situation where, you know, the school closes again on me. That's not, you know, not really ideal. But, you know, I think with Vashon and its alumni and with the situation for, you know, the potential for such success, you know, I'm happy to be where I am and be able to work with these kids.
Now, we got just a few, maybe 30 seconds left. You want to talk about a couple of seniors and Mario McKinney, who could be the future of the Vashon?
Yeah, we had a couple seniors this year, Damian Taylor, Jermaine Walker, Dante Ferris, we Dallin Jones, and Jordan Clay were 5 of our seniors that are moving on right now. And then we have a good nucleus coming back with a bunch of good juniors, and then a really good talented sophomore, and Mario is a freshman, so he'll be a sophomore next year. And, you know, Mario has a chance to be very, very special. And, you know, all of them now, it's about getting them stronger, getting them faster, and they're playing AAU right now, so hopefully they're going to come back, you know, a little bit hungrier and ready to compete. So that's all you can ask.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for joining us.
Me.
It looks like you're building a tremendous foundation. Congratulations, and good luck in the future.
All right, thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break now, but stick around as the athletic director of the Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club will join us in studio when we return. And welcome back to the show. In our second segment today, we have a gentleman who's been involved in sports in the St. Louis area for many years, and he currently holds the title of athletic director for the Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club. At this time, we'd like to welcome Ray Merriweather to Inside Sports. Ray, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, one of the things that you've been involved with over the years was you were a coach at Vashon under Floyd Irons. So we're coming out of the Tony Irons interview, and you guys have actually known each other for a really long time.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
So what was it like coaching Tony when, you know, when you were an assistant at Vashon? Was he one of those kids he was running around?
Well, I coached Tony in AAU basketball and Little League basketball. Okay. And Tony's always been his own man. Even though he's Floyd's son, he's always been his own guy. Wanted to prove that he could do it.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So, Ray, you've been involved with, gosh, a all kinds of sporting events and situations around St. Louis. Right now, you're the athletic director at the Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club, and I know it's a great job to be able to work with the kids like that. And talk a little bit about Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club and some of the things you do out there.
Well, the club gives kids, one thing about the Boys Club, it's a great place, it's a safe place. It gives guys and girls the opportunity to feel free. And in doing that, it's, like I said, it's just a safe haven for a lot of young people.
Not a safe haven, you gotta like that. You were telling me a story when before the show, and Tony and you and myself were in the conference room. Tony actually has he won a championship in high school and college, and he holds his distinction with one other individual.
Right. What it is that there's only 2 coaches in the state of Missouri history that has won a high school state title as a player, as a coach, and a national championship. Right. And that's Tony Aarons and Rich Grier. Rich
Grier, the oldest Met coach, huh?
Correct.
And he was over at St. Louis University as well for a while.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty good company there, huh?
Yeah, that's, so he's in the history book. I didn't realize that he didn't even realize that. But he's in the history book forever right now.
So Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club, I mean, you guys have a lot of programs. I mean, prominently, you have your football team. I remember growing up playing for Bonham, which is now Chesterfield, right?
Right.
And Mathews-Dickey and Royal Knights were our big nemesis. They were our, we would go down in the city and play at Fairgrounds Park and, some of these places down there, and we had some battles. But there's a lot more going on at Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club than just football.
Oh, yes. We have, like you say, football is one of our top programs. We have a baseball program. We have a art program, cooking, music, dance, theater, drama, all type of things for the young people. Tutoring programs, after-school programs, computer literacy programs. So we're offering everything you can think of.
Now, at one point in time, it used to be Mathews-Dickey's Boys Club. And then he added Boys and Girls Club so you can bring the girls into the mix as well. I don't know if that was in conjunction with Title IX or anything, but it certainly opens up tremendous opportunities for young girls to get out and about and get to play sports too at a young age.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we had our girls softball team went to the World Series last year.
Really?
Yes. Through the RBI, through Major League Baseball, they placed in the World Series last year, and so the girls part became a part of the club. I'm not sure what year it became part of the boys club, but that was done on behalf. Mr. Mathews he's always thinking of something special, and he thought about adding the girls just to make them feel part of it. Girls have always been a part of our boys club, but that just to give them the title to make them feel that they're a part of, he added it to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea because you think about the girls, like when we played, we had the girls were the cheerleaders.
Exactly.
And now they have an opportunity to actually play the different sports. And when you look at the women's soccer in the United States right now and basketball, those 2 sports, to me, are really growing as far as the women's side. I mean, the guys' side, it's been growing for a long time, and it remains. But on the women's side, it seems really to be gaining momentum.
Oh, yes, it has. And even in Mathew-Dickey history, we have had young ladies that play Division I college basketball that started off playing in our girls program. We had some young ladies play at Notre Dame, Oklahoma. So it's always been about being equal and being fair at the boys club.
Sure, and being in the city, in the inner city. I mean, we see the statistics every day. We watch the news. There's there's crime in our city. We have a high crime rate. And I think organizations like Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Clubs, it provides a bastion. It provides a place for kids to go, to get off the streets, to do something important. How important is it to have your facility there for these kids so they can get away from some of the drama?
Well, like I tell people, it's very important. It gives guys and girls the opportunity that they may never have. I mean, we're not only about the sports, we're about teaching about family. We have a lot of rules. Our rules, for example, on our gym floor, we have what we call the 3 R's: respect, restraint, and responsibility. And we preach that a whole lot to all our sports teams, and if you can have those 3 R's, it'll carry you a long way in this world.
Oh, I bet. And what do you tell the kids? I mean, a lot of them, they don't have their parents are split up. When they come in there, do you provide yourself as a mentor to these individuals, to these kids?
Well, I look at myself as a mentor, a father, a brother, an uncle, a cousin. What situation makes the kid feel comfortable? That's who I am to them.
Is there a certain toughness that you get when you grow up in the city? Sometimes you become a little hardened. I mean, you see people, and you see, I hate to say it, but you see the crime out there, and then you lose loved ones. You might have friends and family members that are involved with altercations. And does it toughen you up a little bit on the inside, or put up a barrier?
I tell you what, me being a coach, and I've had some situations that have made me tough. So I'm sure it makes the kids tough. I mean, a lot of times we'll talk about the sad situations, but the truth be told, we have a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and our kids who we serve, they're dealing with the same things.
When I go to Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club, I've broadcast a lot of football games, junior football league games, and I get out there and I see the hard work of these coaches. They go out there and they dedicate themselves and they give back to the community. And you really got to give it to the coaches and the parents who just hang in there and support their kids and and as they provide a better atmosphere.
Well, yeah, that's what I take my hat off to a lot of our coaches and our volunteers. We're only as strong as our volunteers and our coaches and our parents. That's one thing we try to preach at the club is we always giving credit to the parents. So we don't want to take all the credit ourselves. We definitely let the parents know, hey, without you all, there is no club.
Sure, absolutely. Let me change subjects here a little bit. I was looking back at some of the things you've done, and you're actually involved with the St. Louis Cardinals baseball organization for a long time in the player development.
Yes, I worked in player development for the St. Louis Cardinals. For 13 seasons, I worked for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a great experience. I wouldn't trade it in, and that experience actually has given me the opportunity to give back to the kids that I deal with at the Boys Club.
And what was your timeline there?
I left in '97, I want to say.
Okay, so you're there like in the '80s.
Well, I got a ring in '87. We won the national.
The world.
We didn't win the World Series.
Yeah,
won the National League title that year. So I was there in '87. Was my.
Then we lost to the Twins. I remember that. With player development back in the '80s and to today, it's got to be a little bit different, isn't it? Because back in the '70s and '80s, people would go out there and they'd play baseball. Now it's become a science.
Well, with the Cardinals, I tell this to anyone, they were always ahead of the game. They were always about statistics, keeping up with the numbers. Putting in video systems. When I traveled with the team all over the country, so I did the video technician stuff for the hitters and the batters and the pitchers. And so we stayed ahead of the game. We were one of the only teams at one time doing that. And so the Cardinals have always been a step ahead of everyone.
Yeah, you can tell by the way they present things and the way they run business. They seem to be a very classy organization.
Most definitely.
First class all the way. I know Mr. Savage, Ted Savage with the organization, he's been promoting the RBI in St. Louis. So is it Return Baseball Inner City, something like
Revive Baseball in Inner City.
Revive Baseball Inner City, and that's been a tremendous program, bringing baseball back to the kids, because most of them want to play football and basketball, but baseball's important too.
It's definitely important, and believe it or not, the RBI program was delivered to the Cardinals by way of Mathew-Dickey.
Nice.
A guy came into a gentleman, Mathew-Dickey. He was a scout, and he brought the program to Mathew-Dickey, and Mathew-Dickey took it to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals jumped in, and they've been in and on it ever since the first time we had it.
Well, we've got some summer programs coming up. Before we let you go, can you give us some contact information for Mathews-Dickey if someone would like to get involved with your summer
programs? We have
our
summer program, our summer sports program starts May the 31st. If you need any information, you can reach us at 314-382-5952.
You know, in many years as a coach at the Mathews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club, you actually had an opportunity to coach some pretty darn good players over the years, and one of them is getting ready to be drafted into the NFL, Ezekiel Elliott out of Ohio State. Can you talk about Ezekiel and you know, watching him grow through the system?
Yes. Zeke was a special kid from the first time I met him at 7. He was a young man with a motor that just wouldn't quit. I mean, I don't think he ever missed a practice. But his motor was one of those things, it just went, and he always worked hard at it.
Mm-hmm. You know, he was a little bit vocal this year during the Ohio State season, and he's certainly a talented young man, and you must be proud of him as he gets ready to enter the National Football League.
Most definitely, I'm proud of him. And, you know, it's not often that you get a chance to deal with someone of this caliber. And just like I tell people all the time, I was blessed to have opportunity to coach him. And like you say, he was a little bit more vocal this year, but that I can remember that incident that you were talking about his team, and instantly I picked up the telephone and to call him. I said, Zeke, he said, I know, Coach, but they got to give me the ball. I said, it's going to be all right. And he handled it and proved that he should have gotten the ball, though.
All right, thank you so much, Ray Merriweather, for joining us here on Inside Sports. We're going to wrap things up today with our Inside Sports crew heading out to the Aeneas Williams camp. We had a chance to catch up with NFL Super Bowl champion Ray Lewis. Let's take a look.
I think a lot of people use that word loosely, right? Because retired is just from putting on shoulder pads and cleats. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't retire you from life. You know, life is just getting started for what he's doing and what I'm doing. Well, you don't have to accept the hand that you're dealt. Right? And that's what happens sometimes, right? We go through things, you know, as a young child, we grow up and things just ain't right, and this happened, that happens, daddy may leave, right? Situations may come, bills may not be able to be paid, I may break something, I may go through something, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if you still have breath, you still have opportunity to keep going forward.
Come on, Ray.
Welcome to the men's locker room. Listen, Pastor Aeneas Williams, it's as real as it gets, and what stays in the locker room comes in the locker room. What comes in the locker room stays in the locker room. It's the only way it works. Fellowship, true brotherhood, doing what we need to do, right? Which is strengthen each other, loving our neighbors, thyself. There's no better way to do it. Appreciate St. Louis, which is the bomb. Trust me, everybody treated me with so much ultimate respect. Incredible time. Men locker room is where it's at.
And you heard what he said. It's all about the ground game because we taking territory, and that's what happened in the men's heart tonight. Thank you once again, Ray, for being with me, man. Love you.
Yeah.
Ray took the time, signed every book,
yeah,
taking pictures, priceless.
I really want to say thank you, though. I want to say thank you as a man, as a brother, right, as a mentor. And everything that you've done, you know, sometimes I know you understand, we don't look for pat on the back.
Right.
But as a brother, my heart shares with your heart, right? So whatever you ever need, I'm always here for you.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank
for
you,
life.
man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.